The topic of missing people who were found alive after years is both fascinating and heart-wrenching. The stories of those who have gone missing and been presumed dead, only to be discovered alive after years, are a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the unyielding determination of loved ones who never gave up hope. Number 1. J.C. Dugard. J.C. Dugard was kidnapped in 1991, at the age of 11, while walking to her school bus stop in South Lake Tahoe, California. She was held captive for 18 years by Philip Garrido and his wife Nancy Garrido, who kept her in a hidden backyard compound in Antioch, California. During her captivity, J.C. gave birth to 2 daughters fathered by Philip Garrido, and was forced to live in appalling conditions with limited access to medical care and education. In 2009, she was discovered by 2 University of California, Berkeley police officers who found Philip Garrido acting suspiciously on campus, and were able to determine that he was a registered sex offender. J.C. was finally reunited with her family and was able to start rebuilding her life, which included writing a best-selling memoir about her experiences called A Stolen Life. The Garridos were both convicted of kidnapping and multiple counts of sexual assault and were sentenced to life in prison. Number 2. Elizabeth Smart. Elizabeth Smart was kidnapped from her Salt Lake City, Utah home in 2002, at the age of 14. She was taken at knife point by Brian David Mitchell, a street preacher who had been hired to do work at the Smart family's home. Elizabeth was held captive for 9 months, during which time she was subjected to physical and sexual abuse by Mitchell and his wife Wanda Barzee. She was eventually rescued by police officers in March 2003, after being spotted in public with Mitchell and Barzee. After her rescue, Elizabeth worked to rebuild her life and became an advocate for child safety and missing persons. She has spoken publicly about her experiences and has written several books, including My Story, a memoir about her kidnapping and recovery. Mitchell was eventually convicted of kidnapping and sexual assault and was sentenced to life in prison. Barzee was also convicted and sentenced to prison. Number 3. Amanda Berry, Gina DeJesus, and Michelle Nye. Amanda Berry, Gina DeJesus, and Michelle Knight were 3 young women who were kidnapped separately in Cleveland, Ohio, between 2002 and 2004. Berry was 16 years old when she was kidnapped, DeJesus was 14 years old, and Knight was 20 years old. The 3 women were held captive by Ariel Castro in his home for a combined total of over 10 years, during which time they were subjected to physical, sexual, and emotional abuse. They were discovered in May 2013 when Berry managed to escape and called for help from a neighbor's phone. DeJesus and Knight were also rescued from the house. After their rescue, the 3 women worked to rebuild their lives and adjust to their newfound freedom. They have since become advocates for victims of abduction and sexual abuse, and have written books about their experiences. Ariel Castro was arrested and eventually pleaded guilty to over 900 charges, including kidnapping, rape, and aggravated murder. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole but committed suicide in his cell in September 2013. Number 4. Stephen Stayner. Stephen Stayner was kidnapped in 1972 at the age of 7 while walking home from school in Merced, California. He was taken by a man named Kenneth Parnell, who kept him for 7 years and sexually abused him during that time. In 1980, when Stephen was 14 years old, he managed to escape with another young boy who Parnell had also kidnapped. Stephen took the boy to the police, and Parnell was arrested and later convicted of kidnapping and sexual assault. Stephen's story gained national attention and he became a symbol of hope for families of missing children. However, tragically, Stephen was killed in a motorcycle accident in 1989, just a few years after his escape. Despite the tragic end to his life, Stephen's bravery in escaping and his advocacy for missing children have had a lasting impact. A made-for-TV movie called I Know My First Name is Stephen was made about his story. Number 5. Colleen Stan. Colleen Stan was hitchhiking to a friend's house in California in 1977 when she was picked up by Cameron and Janice Hooker. The couple held Colleen captive for 7 years, during which time she was subjected to extreme physical and sexual abuse, and was kept in a small wooden box for hours each day. Colleen was forced to call herself Kay and wear a head box as part of her captivity. Eventually, Janice Hooker helped Colleen escape in 1984, after years of suffering. The Hookers were both arrested and convicted of kidnapping and sexual assault. Cameron Hooker was sentenced to 104 years in prison, and Janice Hooker was sentenced to 15 years to life. Colleen went on to become an advocate for victims of sexual abuse and has spoken publicly about her experiences. Her story has also been the subject of several books and documentaries.
Don't forget to like and share this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to our channel for more top 10 videos like this one. Number 6.
Sean Hornbeck. Sean Hornbeck was 11 years old when he was kidnapped while riding his bike in Richwoods, Missouri in 2002. He was held captive by Michael Devlin, a pizza parlor manager who had also previously kidnapped and abused another young boy named Ben Ownby. Sean was kept in Devlin's apartment for more than 4 years, during which time he was repeatedly sexually assaulted and threatened with harm if he tried to escape or tell anyone about his captivity. In 2007, Sean was finally rescued by police after Devlin's pickup truck was spotted in the parking lot of a local grocery store. Devlin was arrested and eventually pleaded guilty to multiple charges, including kidnapping, sexual assault, and armed criminal action. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole. After his rescue, Sean worked to rebuild his life and has since become an advocate for missing and exploited children. He has spoken publicly about his experiences and has written a book called Finding Sean: The Tale of the Kidnapped Child Who Kept Hope Alive. Number 7. Natasha Kampusch. Natasha Kampusch was 10 years old when she was kidnapped on her way to school in Vienna, Austria in 1998. She was held captive for 8 years by Wolfgang Pricklepil, who kept her locked in a small, windowless cellar beneath his home. During her captivity, Natasha was physically and emotionally abused by Pricklepil, and was only allowed out of the cellar for brief periods of time. However, in 2006, Natasha managed to escape when Pricklepil became distracted during a phone call and she was able to run away. Pricklepil committed suicide by throwing himself in front of a train soon after Natasha's escape. After her rescue, Natasha wrote a book about her experiences, called 3096 Days, which became an international bestseller. She has also worked as a television presenter and has established a foundation to help other victims of child abuse and exploitation. Number 8. Carlina White. Carlina White was abducted from a hospital in Harlem, New York City, just 19 days after she was born in 1987. Her kidnapper, a woman posing as a nurse, took her from the hospital and raised her as her own daughter under the name Nedra Nance. Carlina grew up believing that the woman who had abducted her was her biological mother, but as she got older, she became suspicious of her background. She eventually did some research and discovered that she was, in fact, a missing child. In 2011, Carlina was reunited with her biological parents after a DNA test confirmed her identity. Her kidnapper, Ann Petway, was arrested and later pleaded guilty to kidnapping. She was sentenced to 12 years in prison. After her reunion with her biological family, Carlina has worked to rebuild relationships with them and has become an advocate for missing children. Her story has been featured in several documentaries and TV shows, and she has also written a book about her experiences, called A Stolen Life. Number 9. Kamaya Mobley. Kamaya Mobley was abducted just 8 hours after she was born from a hospital in Jacksonville, Florida in 1998. Her kidnapper, Gloria Williams, posed as a nurse and took the newborn from her mother's hospital room. Kamaya was raised as Alexis Manigault and spent her childhood in South Carolina with Williams. Kamaya grew up believing that Williams was her biological mother, but when she applied for a job and needed a copy of her birth certificate, she discovered that her social security number did not match the one on her birth certificate. After conducting her own research, Kamaya contacted the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children and discovered that she was a missing child. In 2017, Kamaya was reunited with her biological parents, who had been searching for her for nearly 2 decades. Gloria Williams was arrested and pleaded guilty to kidnapping and was sentenced to 18 years in prison. Since her reunion with her biological family, Kamaya has worked to build relationships with them and has spoken publicly about her experiences. Her story has been featured in several TV shows and documentaries. Number 10. Tanya Catch. Tanya Catch was a 14-year-old girl from Pennsylvania who disappeared in 1996. She had been groomed and sexually abused by her school security guard, Thomas Hose, for over a year before she was taken from her home and held captive in Hose's home. During her captivity, Tanya was isolated from the outside world and was forced to remain hidden in Hose's house. She was emotionally and physically abused and was subjected to Hose's sexual advances. Hose controlled every aspect of her life and even forced her to take on a false identity. Tanya was rescued in 2006, after she had been missing for 10 years, when a neighbor of Hose's became suspicious of the girl he had seen living in the house. The police were alerted and Tanya was finally freed from her captor. After her rescue, Tanya reunited with her family and worked to rebuild her life. She also became an advocate for missing and exploited children, sharing her story to raise awareness and prevent similar tragedies from happening to others.
Want to see more top 10 videos like this one? Subscribe now and join our community.